Sarajevo, the 5th of May, 1971. Petar was photographing the hall. The Skenderia plenary was full, maybe 2,000 delegates, more standing at the back, and along the side walls, the press and the international observers, and the senior staff of the federal ministries, arranged in a way that suggested they had been told to look serious for the photographers, and were trying to remember how. Above the stage, a banner the length of the platform. Drugi Kongres Samoupravljača Jugoslavije. Behind the banner, the larger lettering, 20 godina samoupravljanja. 20 years. Demir was on the stage at the right-hand seat of the second row, with Edvard Kardil 3 seats further in. Petar moved sideways through the front rank of standing delegates, with the Leica at his eye. The light in the hall was even, from rigged work lamps put up for the cameras. He shot Demir from a low angle, then turned to shoot the lectern, then waited for Kardil to lift his glasses to his eyes. He did not press the shutter. Kardil had turned to speak to the man on his left. Petar lowered the camera and let it hang. He had been smiling all morning. He tried to stop because his father had said, before they left the hotel, that nobody at a Yugoslav Congress wants to look at a photographer who is grinning like an apprentice. He couldn't stop. He was 23. That morning he'd come through the lobby with a press credential and a Leica around his neck, and the security men at the door had looked at him, and at his name, and at Damir behind him, and let him through. He was photographing the Workers' Self-Management Congress. He'd been in the hall 30 minutes, and he had already shot 2 rolls. He moved across the front of the hall toward the central aisle. Tito was coming down it. There was the small movement of the delegates, standing not in unison, but in the way a row of people will stand when they have noticed, one by one, that the person ahead is on their feet. Tito was in a grey suit, with a small partisan decoration on the lapel. Beside him, in the dark coat with the pearls, was Jovanka. Behind them, a delegation, officers in uniform, federal staff in suits, an interpreter at his elbow, 2 more behind. They were walking at the pace of a man who has been doing this for 30 years. Tito saw him. Tito did not slow down. He had not been a man who slowed for cameras since he had become the man cameras existed to catch. But he looked at Petar, and his mouth twitched into the smile of an older man who has spotted a young man in a position he was once in himself. He stopped. He held out his hand. "Mladi čovjek," he said. "Young man. You are working hard." "Predsjedniče." "And this is the Stojanović boy, yes?" "Yes, Predsjedniče." "I thought so. You have your father's nose." The man on Tito's right, a federal staffer in a grey suit, laughed quickly and stopped laughing. Petar took Tito's hand. The hand was dry and warm and the size of his own. He had not expected that. Tito held it a moment longer than was necessary and let go. "You are photographing me?" "Yes, Predsjedniče." "Make sure you don't make me look fat." "I will try, Predsjedniče." "Try harder than that." He moved on. The entourage followed. Jovanka, the federal staffers, the officers. Petar lifted the Leica again. It was not the shot he had been about to take when Tito stopped him. The composition was different now. Tito moving away into the hall, the entourage strung out behind, the light falling diagonally from the work lamps. He found the frame. The shutter clicked. He moved a step to keep the angle. He shot again. Behind the officers, in a pale dress and with her hair cut to the shoulder, walking a quarter step off the pace of the line, was a young woman Petar had not noticed in any of his earlier framing. She turned and looked back at him. He had been about to lower the Leica. He did not lower it. He took her picture as she went. The shutter sound was small and clean. The woman did not stop. She was already past him, looking forward again, walking with the delegation toward the stage. She did not look back a second time. Petar stood with the camera at his eye for a second after she had gone. Then he lowered it. Demir, on the stage, was watching the procession come up the aisle. Demir saw Petar at the side of the hall. He raised one hand a half-inch off his knee and lowered it again. Petar inclined his head. He turned back into the room. He could not remember whether he had wound the film on. He had wound the film on. He shot the back of Tito as Tito reached the stage. He shot Jovanka taking her seat. He shot the federal staffers settling at the table along the side. He shot the woman in the pale dress sitting down at the interpreter's bank below the stage, where she put her headphones on without looking up. And he shot her again as she lifted the microphone. He did not know her name. He had taken 11 photographs of her by the end of the morning session. He had stopped smiling. You've been listening to an extract from The Red Album, a sweeping historical novel of a country's unmaking, inspired by true events. Out now. Search The Red Album by Leemarshmanthomas.